are now listening to the War Report Podcast Network.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the College Loop Podcast, episode 204 of the College Loop Podcast. I'm Dylan Larck, ABoyTank on Twitter. And before we get started into the meat and potatoes of today's episode, I do want to reach out and give my prayers and thoughts and prayers to the Batee family. If you did not hear, Brian Batee, the running back and kick returner here at Auburn, he and his brother were shot Saturday morning. His brother sadly passed away, and Brian Batee is still fighting for his life right now. I did read the Brian Stoltz tweet out that Batee is gaining some movement in his fingers and in his hands, but they don't know how much brain functionality he will have. I just wanted to, before I got started and all the goofy stuff we're going to talk about today, I just wanted to have my thoughts and prayers lie with the Batee family and Brian as they go through this tough time. But with that, go ahead and get right started with it. What's up, James? Glad to see you stopping in. And thanks to you to everyone else who is hopping in as we get started talking about EA College Football 2025, which has just been announced. Has just not just been announced, but has just been given a trailer this very week. What's up, Chris? What's going on? I don't know if you know this or not, but I am a big gamer. I have a PS3 right next to me that I used to play NCAA 14. So I am overly excited about the new college football game coming to a Xbox/PS5, whichever one I decide to get, near me very, very soon. At least by July 19th, July 16th, if I want to get the deluxe one. But with that, I put together a list of my projected Auburn starters. I did make a little bit of a change to one because I did kind of think about the Jason Jones pick I made earlier on. I do now kind of lean towards Trill Carter being the starter at nose tackle. So that is what I went into with my list. And of course, if you have any other players you want me to give my overall prediction from, I am down to do that. You just got to ask. But these are my projected starters as we get started with the offensive side of the ball. Starting off with the offense. And I know that's going to be kind of hard to see with the banner, so I'll go ahead and take that off. With the offense, of course, I have quarterback Peyton Thorne as a 78 overall. I think it's a pretty okay start for him. Of course, these ratings are going to be updated throughout the year. I think 78 is a pretty basic overall for a guy who had a pretty low year. I do think he could end up in the low 80s. Teresa, War Eagle. I think that 78 is a pretty solid starting point for Peyton Thorne going into this year. I do see a lot of room for improvement from him. And I think that he's not going to be the lowest overall quarterback in the conference by far. I just kind of at a base level, that is where I have Peyton Thorne. Moving on, I think Jarquez Hunter is probably going to be the highest overall player for the Auburn Tigers in the new football game at a 92 overall. I think the only argument that can be made here are probably one of the kickers. I don't think anyone would be ranked higher than Jarquez Hunter on this Auburn football team. Coming in a close second place to that, and probably tied for second, I believe. Rivaldo Fairweather, the tight end, pass catching threat. He's going to be a red zone target. He's going to be a guy you're constantly throwing to. You're going to do the little PA tight end cross or a corner route, just have him kind of do a fade route into the end zone, and then it's going to be money every single time. Because Rivaldo Fairweather, one of the most underrated players in college football. I don't think he gets talked about nearly enough as he should be. As you also have Auburn Softball going on my side. So if you see me kind of veering off, I'm watching the game as well as talking to y'all. But yeah, 88 overall is where I have Rivaldo Fairweather. I think he's going to be one of the higher overall tight ends in the SEC. Now, to the positions that I think everyone's going to be most interested in, Cam Coleman, I currently have as an 82 overall. I think that's a great starting point for a freshman that's going to have a lot of time to get to a 99 overall. I think he is bound to get there. I think that's just the level of hype that he holds and the level of talent that he possesses. 82 is a pretty fair starting point for a high octane freshman that's going to be an immediate impact type player. You see this in the Madden a lot, where a lot of the rookies that are expected to do very, very well are typically ranked in the 80s and typically ranked higher than a lot of guys that probably shouldn't be ranked higher than. I don't think rookies should be higher overalls than 3 or 4 year vets in the NFL. Right now, Cam Coleman is the highest ranked overall wide receiver at an 82 overall. Wide receiver 2, Keandre Lambert-Smith. This one I had some issues trying to think up. I kind of have him at 81 overall. I think it's a pretty solid spot for him. I think I could argue if someone told me that he should be higher, I would agree. I think he could fall anywhere from the 81 to 86. I just think that makes most sense for Cam Coleman to be the highest ranked wide receiver on the team. Just because I think I don't want to say by far, because I think that Perry Thompson and a lot of these other guys in this room could end up being high ranked players as well. But yeah, I've Keandre Lambert-Smith at 81 overall. And moving on to the slot guy, Robert Lewis, I have as a 80 overall. The transfer out of Georgia State is going to be a fast slot guy that you're going to be able to throw to on those 4 verts that everyone loves to play so much. So it's going to be a lot of fun to see how that tandem of wide receivers kind of pans out in the real life as well as video game world. Moving on to the offensive line. This one I was all over the place with. Starting off at left tackle, Percy Lewis, the transfer out of Mississippi State, who earned some all SEC honors last year. So I think 86 is pretty fair for a guy who possesses his size and has the history at left tackle that he has in the SEC. So 86 is where I have Percy Lewis, the highest overall offensive lineman for Auburn, but not far behind him is Connor Lew, who I'll talk about in just a second. Moving on to left guard, I have Dylan Wade as an 80. 80 is kind of where I have him after an up and down year. I think that's kind of where I possess him. Auburn has a pretty decently ranked offensive line. So it's going to be kind of fun to see how this offensive line kind of pans out IRL, as well as when my Auburn dynasty starts. Maybe right here on the College Loop. We don't know yet. Still trying to debate that. Moving on to center, Connor Lew, 83 overall, which I might have underranked him a lot, actually, as Connor Lew might end up being one of the best centers in the country. I think if Auburn were to have another Remington Award winner, it would be Connor Lew. I don't think it'd be the last one Auburn would get, but definitely I think he has the potential to do that this year because as a true freshman, when he got in due to the injury of Avery Jones, he was one of the top ranked centers in college football. PFF would agree with me on that as well. I know PFF isn't like a world-renowned great place to go to for your facts. I know they have some pretty good ones every now and again. But some of their stuff doesn't really make a lot of sense. But yeah, Connor Lew is 83 overall, and believe me, I think if someone else besides Cam Coleman could end up being a 99 one day, it'd be Auburn's center and Connor Lew. Moving on to right guard and right tackle, which is going to be the weakness of Auburn's offensive line. I have Jeremiah Wright as a 79 overall. I think the up and down of his career of dealing with injuries kind of hinders him a little bit here. He has the potential to be higher up. But 79 is kind of the base level I have for him right now, where I think he could go up if he were to play throughout the entirety of the season. Right tackle is Xavier Miller, definitely a guy who possesses a lot of natural talent, but I have him at 75 because we've not seen it put on the field all at once. I mean, he was a very highly penalized offensive lineman. I think if you were to go back and count the penalties on each offensive lineman, I'm pretty sure Xavier Miller might have the most, but not far behind him will be Dylan Wade. I'm pretty sure Xavier Miller will be right up there on the list because the holdings, the false starts, so on, so forth, potato to potato. Greg Skywalker, I don't like how FSU is making this game difficult for us. I'm just going to take this down. I'm going to move to the offense and defense just a second. Yeah, I agree. Auburn finally got up 2 runs, and then out of nowhere, a 3-run bomb for Florida State. Then Auburn went 3 up, 3 down in the third. Not 3 down, but Mikael Packer on base. Auburn was able to do anything in the third inning. And now we're here in the fourth. If we can win the Super Regional, and OU can beat, so we can either win these 2 games. FSU is definitely not better than Auburn. I honestly, I was surprised that Auburn lost that first game to UCF. I will say that flat out. I was very surprised by how the game went. I do think Auburn is a lot closer of a team to Florida State than people are talking about. I think Florida State's one of the more over hyped up teams in the region, like that host the regional. Number 1 being Alabama. You didn't hear that from me. But yeah, Auburn possesses everything necessary to win this regional. It's all about getting hits, which they were doing last night against Chattanooga. I was not up for the 2:30 game. I'm sorry for everyone out there. Did not do my due diligence of staying up till 3 o'clock in the morning. That's why there was not a graphic up in the morning because I was asleep. But yeah, this game is still going on. I'll talk about it a lot more in just a few moments. Then move on to the defensive side of the ball. Let me remove that banner again. Starting off with the linebacker Eugene Asante because he's my highlighted individual. 88 overall for Eugene Asante. Just a all-around talented, hyped up, great linebacker. It was a I don't want to say a shock, but a surprise to see how good he was last year for the Auburn Tigers. He just did such a good job of stepping up when he needed to. He just came up out of nowhere, really, because I don't think anyone really expected Eugene Asante to be that dude when he transferred in from North Carolina. But a pleasant surprise it was. Eugene Asante is going to be 88 overall, in my opinion. Moving on to the rest of the defense. At the edge rusher position, I have Jalen McLeod at 85 overall. He possesses so much talent and speed at the edge rusher position. He was so good whenever he finally got back onto back when he was fully healthy. So it'd be great to see what he does. And now he has a little tandem of backup. So I'm knock on wood. If an injury were to occur, Auburn would not really skip a beat at the edge rusher position. Jalen McLeod currently has 85 overall. Moving on to interior defensive lineman, defensive tackle Philip Bleedy. I have as an 81 overall. Really good defensive lineman at Indiana. Moving on to the SEC, I think 81 is a pretty base level way to go. I think whenever I make these rankings, I start off at 80, and I kind of just feel it out. So 81 overall for Philip Bleedy. I think he has plenty of room to go up higher. But right now, I think base level of him moving to the SEC, 81 overall is pretty fair. Nose tackle Trill Carter currently has a 79 overall. I think this is probably one of Auburn's weaker positions on paper. I think Jason Jones is probably right there around a 79, and Isaiah Rakes might be somewhere around there as well. Again, arguably could rank higher if someone gave a good argument to me. Right now, currently have nose tackle is 79 overall. Definitely a position I think Auburn will build up in the latter parts of the Hugh Freeze era. Defensive end position, Keldrick Falk, 83 overall, alongside his other true freshman standout from last year, Connor Liu. Keldrick really stepped up when he needed to. When Najim McAllister was out for a little bit, and he was able to get in and make the most of it. Keldrick Falk, a player who is just all around one of the most talented. End up being one of the most talented players on this defense when it's all said and done. Definitely a guy who, if you play NCAA 25, if you play college football 25, whatever you want to call it, and you are not known for your ability to use her in the backside of the defense, i.e. linebacker and secondary, I do think that Keldrick Falk would be a great mid-ground for everybody who's kind of new to the whole gaming atmosphere that it is. But yeah, so moving on to the Mike linebacker and Austin Keys, 81 overall. Another guy who had up and down year. Injuries kind of played a part in that, but when he came in, Auburn really showed how much they missed having him on the field. But up and down year, I give him 81. Again, fluctuating ratings. So no one get too mad at me for any low ratings for some of your favorite football players on this team. Moving in, Keontae Scott currently has an 87 overall. Great year last year. Moving to a new position, to the outside corner position. Going to be Auburn's starting corner. And I think that he's going to be one of Auburn's best players as well. This defense is definitely going to be the most fun to play with on this Auburn team. Offense, strictly just because of Cam Coleman and throwing it up to Rivaldo Fairweather, they're going to be fun. But this defense is going to be really good. Auburn might be a team you could arguably consider a great team to go rebuild in terms of just a team that kind of fell off after a few years of being on top of the sport. So Keontae Scott and, of course, Kyan Lee at the cornerback too. 83 overall. All the standout true freshmen all got 83. I don't know how that worked, but it worked out either way. Kyan Lee, another talented cornerback who is just really, really good. He really stepped up whenever Nehemiah Pritchett was out. He was just on the ball. I don't think he didn't get a lot of interceptions, but there were moments where he looked like a freshman, but those were completely overshadowed by the fact that he looked like a future star and he's going to be so fun to watch as his career progresses. Hopefully, he doesn't have too great of a year. Hopefully, still a great year, but not too great of a year where he thinks about leaving a little early next year. I mean, I probably should say that maybe next year instead. But yeah, Kyan Lee, 83 overall. Free safety and strong safety, Jaron Thompson. I have Jaron Thompson as 82 overall, moving here from Texas. He's going to be a leader of this defense. I didn't really gauge where to put him. I was kind of go off stats and off leadership. I think 82 is pretty a base level for this Auburn defense to go. Right now, I think Auburn's probably Auburn's team around like an 83, 84 overall team, which I think is pretty fair for how the team kind of looks on paper. Caleb Wooden as an 80 stepped up when he needed to, but also sometimes where he didn't really make the plays he needed to. So 80 overall is pretty okay where I have him. And then the last position I have listed is the star position with Champ Anthony as a 76 overall. Didn't get a lot of playing time last year due to Keontae Scott and Donovan Coffin kind of locking down that star position, as well as J.D. Rhyme, who has since transferred out. But Champ Anthony, I think, is a player that Auburn's going to look at in the past and be like, this is a great pickup. He's a guy who I really enjoyed when Auburn did pick him up. I think he's going to get a real shot this year. Just as a playing time, and I do not expect him to be a 76 overall by the time this season ends. So yeah, that is my prediction for Auburn's NCAA 2025 ratings. Of course, if you have any players you want me to guess, I have some I can go off the top of my brain. Some of them not so much. I'd have to do a little bit of digging. But if I were to do like kickers, I'd probably have Alex McPherson at around a 90. Oscar Chapman probably at an 87, 88. And if they're doing long snappers, Reed Hughes is 99. But I don't know if they're doing long snappers or not. I don't know how much respect they actually have for one of the most underrated positions on a football field at any given time. But with that does it for my little section of NCAA 25 rating Auburn's projected starters. Before we get into the little ad break, I do want to bring up some Auburn recruiting news. Last night or yesterday, really, Auburn did pick up another commit for the 2025 class. It currently stands number 11 in the country. They picked up 3-star corner Dante Core out of Fort Walton Beach, Florida. Stands at 5'11", 165 pounds per 24/7. An athlete through and through. He had 22 tackles, 4 PBUs, and 2 interceptions on defense, while also having 10 passes for 200, also catching 10 passes for 232 yards and 2 touchdowns on offense, as well as he's a track and field athlete as well. Very, very athletic guy who has been getting looks around the country. He is very athletic corner. I don't know what I need to see more on him. I think it's very hard to find a lot of stats on him, but currently he ranks as a 3-star, very high, higher 3-star. So could see a 4-star in his near future. For some reason, he's not like fully ranked on 24/7. I find that weird. But he doesn't have like the composite score. So I thought that was a little weird. But yeah, overall, Auburn stands at number 11. So a huge pickup to keep Auburn up there in the top 12, top 15, really. But with that, we're going to get into the ad break. And I just want to let you know, if you are tuning in to the show live, thank you so much for doing that. And of course, if you're listening on the audio version of the show as well, thank you for doing that as well. Just make sure that if you are enjoying the show and enjoy what we're doing here at the College Loop, I have several plays I want to kind of get done over the summer with the show and try to expand it to some more things. I do kind of want to get the SEC, all the SEC involved. If you would like that, let me know. It would mean more interaction with some of the other fan bases in the SEC that could be a little annoying, but hopefully some of the non-annoying fans would show up instead. But I do kind of have that idea in place, as well as maybe getting some gaming content when NCAA 25 comes out. So just let me know how you feel about all of that. And of course, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Again, if you have any, if you want me to predict your favorite Auburn player that I did not get to overall, let me know, and I will give that, especially if you comment it down. And of course, on audio versions of the show as well, you rate it 5 stars, and also subscribe to those as well. And with that, the last little bit of news, in case you weren't aware, the College Loop has merch. We have the Feel and Loopy t-shirts, if you were not aware, as well as the College Loop hat that is on the warportershop.com. But I could talk to you about it, or I could just play this little 30-second commercial that I made. That's a little goofy, but I still love it nonetheless. I'll just play it real quick, and I can get a little bit of a water break. So we'll be right back. Are you tired of having to rummage through just clothes after clothes after clothes, looking for something to wear? Are you tired of your friends making fun of you for your terrible fashion sense? Well, do we have the shirt for you? Go to thewarreport.com, get your laptop out and do it right now. Go to the shop and get your very own Feelin' Loopy t-shirt as well as your College Loop hat, and you can get both of them for only $25 each. Plus shipping and handling, of course. But with that, now back to your regular scheduled program. I love the commercial so much. But yeah, with that, we're going to move on to Auburn basketball news. They picked up a transfer after what seems like a few months of looking for a transfer big. It did seem like Auburn kind of missed out on a lot of guys they were looking at, but did finally pick up one in Jaheim Hudson, who looks like a very solid small forward who Auburn can really get in this rotation. Auburn is going to have a very solid and old team next year, getting in a guy who I believe is going to be a rising senior. Jaheim Hudson last year for the SMU Mustangs is the second time transferring. Started his career off at Georgia State. Last year for the Mustangs, though, played in 31 games, started one, averaged 15 minutes a game, 5.4 points a game. Also had 3.4 rebounds, averaged about an assist, about a block, and about a steal a game, as well as shot very well whenever he did shoot the ball. He shoots very well from the free throw line. And throughout his career, he's an average 45% field goal shooter. 3-point shooting is pretty good, but he also takes about 1 to 2 3-pointers a season or a game. So not bad for a guy who's probably going to be more of a depth piece down the line. I'm thinking it's going to be I'm trying to load up Auburn's roster in my head. Probably going to be a guy who kind of have to sit behind Baker Mazar or not Chris Moore. Probably behind Chris Moore in terms of where he's going to be coming in. He'll be switched out, but with them, probably playing more of the power forward. He is 6'7", so you're going to be seeing him kind of mix all around the place, as well as probably see Janai Brim mix around out of the power forward and center position as well. But yeah, huge pickup for Auburn in terms of depth. I know a lot of guys are making fun of Auburn for missing out on so many guys. I think you're kind of looking for. I think you're looking for your guys who want to be depth pieces, who are okay with being, not just want to be that, but are okay with being depth pieces for the team. So I do think this is a great pickup. I don't think Bruce Pearl's made a bad move this offseason. I mean, no one's gonna pick up every single transfer in the portal. So I don't see the clowning of that, but yeah, huge pickup nonetheless for a team that is going to need some depth going into next season and hopefully have some high aspirations for where the season should go. So with that, moving on to the last little bit of news that we got going on here, as I'm trying to get everything updated for y'all, as Auburn Softball currently is behind 3-2 in the bottom of the fourth inning. I currently have Isis Tresvik on first base, Rose Roach up to bat with only one out. So winner go home right now for Auburn, and if they win this game, they're going to be playing again right afterwards. So hopefully Auburn does end up winning this game and the next one and moving on to the Super Regionals to play Oklahoma, which would be a lot of fun. And it's going to host a lot of stories because of the fact that Auburn did, in fact, lose to Oklahoma in the 2016 College World Series, which still breaks my heart till this very day. But with that, Auburn Golf, they start their national championship run, men's golf that is, on the 24th. That's this Friday. Talk about more of that on the Thursday show. But women's golf currently stands at number 7 in their national championship ratings. The top 15 move on to the next round of the championship series. So currently in good standing on that. Huge shout out to both Auburn golf programs for standing out and trying to get an actual championship. I think both teams are very liable, highly probable to do so. So huge shout out to both those teams for being there. And of course, Auburn Softball, huge shout out to them for making it to the postseason as well. Auburn Baseball, on the other hand, did not have that satisfaction. Their season ended with a 27-26 record, 8-22 in the conference. Finished, I believe, 14th out of 14 in the conference. I don't know how Missouri finished out, but I do in fact know that Auburn finished 14 or 13, which is not good enough for a chance to go to Hoover, which means Auburn's season comes to a very depressing end in the sense that it's over before the postseason, but you did round out the season with a series win over Alabama. With game 3, it would have been an awesome sweep, but Auburn to come out in game 1 with a very, very good 4-2 win, and then a very close 12-11 win in game 2, and then game 3, Alabama kind of just smoked Auburn 12-5. Wish you could have seen a lot more of game 1 and game 2 from the rest of the season. I would love to go through in depth about how these games were very how it was great that Auburn just beat Alabama in general. Auburn was undefeated again in Diamond Sports against Alabama this year. That's just how it be. But overall, it does in fact suck that Auburn baseball is over so quickly. It was a truly a sad and depressing season to watch, but we were there for every step of the ride. Sadly, we will not be talking about Auburn in June as we have the past 2 years. But with that pretty much does it for baseball. All I gotta say is fire Everett Teaford. Just do that, maybe. That'd be fine with me. And then get a pitching coach, which would be kind of the next step of doing that. But yeah, baseball season is sadly over. So with that, moving on to softball, who are currently playing right now against Florida State. I've mentioned several times, but starting off with Auburn softball playing against UCF in the first game that they played. Auburn lost 11-6 in a game that nothing went right for the Auburn Tigers whatsoever. Maddie Penta gave up 4 runs. Shelby Lowe gave up 6. And AB came in and gave up 1 in a truly just sad game to watch. I thought it was over whenever Auburn lost to UCF. And then they came around and beat Chattanooga, run ruled Chattanooga, and eliminated them from the NCAA tournament. And it's funny just watching a game where everything went wrong, and the next day everything goes right. Auburn just absolutely handed it to them. Maddie Penta had a great game, only threw 33 pitches, and then AB came in the last 2 innings and threw 26. And I wish I could say that for the next UCF game, where that's why, if you're wondering why Maddie Penta is not currently in an elimination game, it's because last night, throughout a 4-hour game, she threw 224 pitches through 12 innings over 4 hours at 2:30 in the morning. I am surprised that a lot of these girls are still able to swing a bat. I don't think I'd be highly functional playing sports if I fell asleep at around 4. I can guarantee you that would not happen because they probably had to wake up early too. I would not be a functioning adult. I barely am fully rested. But with that, shout out Maddie Penta. 21 strikeouts in that game. I believe ties. I don't know if it. I don't think tied her career high, but definitely one of the career highs. Was just lights out. Per the usual. Hopefully the season continues because I am not ready for the end of watching Maddie Penta just be the best Auburn pitcher of all time. Potentially of either diamond sport, but that's neither here nor there. So it's gonna be a lot of fun to watch how what happens with the coaching search. Still would love to hear more about that coaching search. I don't think Auburn softball has really came up with anything. I know people have been speculating, but I do not know anything off my head. But it would be a lot of fun for it to be a coach who could really make great decisions later on. I know there's been a lot of complaints about some of the miscues in this coaching staff, which I can agree with. But they are currently in the regional, so can't be too mad about it. Can be upset, not too mad. But yeah, so Auburn softball currently down 3-2. Auburn, I believe, having a good chance here. Florida State just is about to change out their pitcher as it goes to commercial as I'm trying to talk about it. Auburn currently has a runner on third as it is on commercial break. So hopefully this game ends up with a win, and I can have and hopefully the next game ends up with a win. So I have 2 games to review tomorrow during for the Tuesday show. as well as some other things that I have planned throughout the week. And of course, I'm thinking about bringing back Theoretical Thursdays. I will say, and that's not chatting with y'all. Theoretical Thursdays will be making a return very soon. If you have anything you want me to explore in a potential alternate universe of Auburn athletics, let me know. If you want to know what would happen if Bo Nix stayed another year, I'm sure we've done that before. You could see that on the Theoretical Thursday show. If you want to see what Auburn would look like if Sharif Cooper had stayed another year, I'm sure we've also already done that one, but I'm just giving out examples. But as this game still goes on, it's in the bottom of the fourth, so we got 3 more innings left to go. I'm not going to be on here throughout all 3 of those innings, but I will stick around for a few more minutes as we get ready to wrap up this installment of the College Loop podcast. But yeah, currently Auburn 2 outs, bottom of the fourth, down 1 run with a runner on third base. And currently, I believe it's Nelia Peralta, who is 3-0 and just got walked to first. So I don't have to commentate for the whole game for y'all. If anyone has any more things to say, any last comments, complaints, concerns for me to talk about, I will go ahead and wrap up the show. So with that, I'll go ahead and let y'all know that I am Dylan Larck, at your boy Tank on Twitter, and of course, did I say that right? At your boy Tank on Twitter, at Dylan Larck on Instagram. That's gonna be DYLENLERCK, and your boy the Tank is at YABOY the Tank. And of course, go check out some of the other work I've done around. I have a project that I'm currently doing for work right now. That thing is very fun to do as well. And of course, you can find me right in the College Loop podcast, where you just like, comment, and subscribe. Leave your thoughts on Auburn in the new college football video game. Where do you think Auburn is going to be rated on a scale of, I'm not going to say too low, I'm going to say maybe like 75 to, what is a reasonable stopping point for that? 90? I think would be a like 2 boogin. I don't want to say 99. But where do you think Auburn would be rated as a team in the new college football video game? With that being said, go check out the audio version of the show as well on Spotify, Podcast, of course, Amazon Music. A bit of a shorter live stream today, but we are in a dead period. It is very hard to find Auburn news because it is, again, a dead period of Auburn athletics, especially with one season ending and about potentially another one ending soonish with golf, and hopefully Auburn Softball continues to go on. I did forget one more thing. Before I completely end the show. Don't worry, I'm not going to keep you all here too long. Gymnastics news. We do have gymnastics news because the Summer Olympics is, of course, this year in France, where gymnastics will be a sport, as Auburn just loads the bases. Auburn has loaded the bases. Looks like Florida State's making another pitching change. Second one of the inning. But gymnastics news, Suni Lee won the gold medal on beam at the U.S. Core Hydration Gymnastics Classic yesterday, I do believe, or Friday, one of those 2 days. So I do believe that she is going to be in contention for a spot in the Olympics team. And by that, I mean she is going to be on the Olympics team because you got some of the best athletes. And who better than known national champion Suni Lee, as well as gold medalist, as well as SEC Gymnast of the Week, multi-time SEC Gymnast of the Week. So with that, now I'm going to end the show. So go watch Auburn Softball if you're not currently doing so. I don't know what you're doing. That could be possibly better than Auburn Softball right now. But with that, thank you all for tuning in to the College Loop podcast. Come back here on Tuesday for another installment of the College Loop podcast. And, of course, come back on Thursday and then next Sunday and then the days after that. Always come back to the College Loop podcast. But with all that being said, thanks for tuning in. War Eagle. And, again, thanks for watching.